newborn's stomach is the size of a marble, not a golf ball, not an egg, a marble. And that single fact changes everything about how you feed a baby in the first few days. But that's just one of dozens of things nobody tells you before you bring a baby home. In this video, we're going to walk through 15 surprising facts that will make your first weeks and months as a parent so much easier. Whether you're expecting, brand new to this, or just curious, stick around. Some of these might genuinely surprise you. Let's start with the thing every new parent loses sleep over. Literally. Sleep. Here's something that might reframe your entire first month. Newborns don't have a circadian rhythm. Their brains literally cannot tell the difference between day and night. That internal clock that tells you to feel sleepy when it's dark. Babies aren't born with it. It develops somewhere between 6 and 12 weeks. So when your baby is wide awake at 3 in the morning, it's not because you're doing something wrong. Their brain physically hasn't built that system yet. Knowing this won't make the sleepless nights easier, but it might make them less frustrating. And when that baby does wake up crying, here's the single most effective trick backed by science. Shushing. Not gentle, quiet shushing. Loud shushing. Here's why. The inside of the womb is about as loud as a vacuum cleaner. We're talking 80 to 90 decibels. Babies spent 9 months surrounded by that constant noise. So when you shush loudly near their ear, you're recreating the most familiar sound in their entire existence. It's not annoying to them. Speaking of crying, new parents often panic when they see their baby crying without any tears. But here's the thing. Newborns physically can't produce tears for the first 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes even longer. Their tear ducts are still developing, so dry crying is completely normal. It doesn't mean they're not upset. They definitely are. They just don't have the plumbing yet. Here's one that blows most people's minds. Newborns have a natural swim reflex. If you place a baby in water, and please always with full supervision, they'll instinctively hold their breath and make swimming motions with their arms and legs. It's called the bradycardic response. Their heart rate actually slows down to conserve oxygen. This reflex disappears around 6 months, but it's a leftover from our evolutionary past. Your baby is born knowing how to do something most adults had to take lessons for. One more sleep tip before we move on. Babies startle themselves awake. It's called the Moro reflex. Their arms suddenly fling out like they're falling, and it wakes them up. Swaddling works so well because it prevents that reflex from firing. A snug swaddle mimics the tight space of the womb. If your baby keeps waking up 10 minutes after you put them down, the Moro reflex is almost always the reason. A good swaddle can be the difference between a 20-minute nap and a 2-hour one. Now let's talk about feeding, the other thing that consumes your entire existence as a new parent. Remember that marble-sized stomach from the beginning? Let's put that in perspective. On day 1, a baby's stomach holds about 5 to 7 millilitres. That's roughly a teaspoon. By day 3, it's the size of a walnut, maybe an ounce. By day 10, it's an apricot, about 2 ounces. This is why newborns eat so often. They're not being difficult. They physically cannot hold much food. So when you're feeding every 90 minutes and wondering if something's wrong, nothing's wrong. The stomach just hasn't caught up yet. Here's a wild one. Babies are born with more taste buds than adults. Way more. An adult has about 10,000 taste buds. A newborn? Closer to 30,000. They have taste buds on the roof of their mouth, the back of their throat, even on their tonsils. This is why babies react so dramatically to new flavours. They're literally tasting things 3 times more intensely than you are. It also explains why so many toddlers are picky eaters. Everything is just louder for them. New parents constantly worry about whether their baby is growing fast enough. So here's a benchmark that might put your mind at ease. Most babies double their birth weight by 5 months. Double. If your baby was born at 7 pounds, they'll likely be 14 pounds by the time they're 5 months old. And by their first birthday, most babies triple their birth weight. No other period in human life comes close to that growth rate. Your baby is literally the fastest growing human on the planet. And here's something that connects feeding to bonding in a way most people don't realise. Babies don't produce saliva for the first 2 to 3 months. That means they can't really drool yet. And it also means they have very little natural defence against bacteria in their mouth. Breast milk actually contains antibodies that compensate for this. But whether you're breastfeeding or formula feeding, this is why keeping bottles and pacifiers clean matters so much in those early weeks. Once the saliva kicks in around month 3, their mouth has its own defence system. One more feeding fact that's genuinely useful. If your baby seems to eat better on one side than the other, whether that's breastfeeding or even how they tilt their head for a bottle, it might not be a preference. Many newborns have a mild head tilt from their position in the womb. It's called torticollis, and it's incredibly common. A paediatrician can spot it in seconds, and some simple stretches usually fix it within a few weeks. But most parents just assume their baby is being fussy, when really they're just a little stiff from being curled up for 9 months. Now let's get into the stuff that's genuinely mind-blowing. How your baby's brain and body are developing in ways you can't even see. A baby's brain doubles in size during the first year. Let that sink in. No organ in the human body grows that fast at any other point in life. By age 2, a baby's brain is already 80% of its adult size. And here's what's driving that growth: connections. A baby's brain forms over 1 million new neural connections every single second. Every sound, every touch, every face they see is literally building their brain in real time. When you talk to your baby, you're not just bonding, you're constructing their brain architecture. And about that talking, your baby recognised your voice before they were even born. Studies show that babies can hear and start learning their mother's voice from inside the womb, starting around the 3rd trimester. In fact, researchers found that newborns cry in the accent patterns of their native language. French babies cry with a rising melody. German babies cry with a falling one. They're already absorbing language before they take their first breath. So if you feel silly talking to your belly during pregnancy, don't. Your baby is already Here's listening. One that might change how you see your newborn. Babies can only see about 8 to 12 inches clearly when they're born. Everything beyond that is a blur. But here's the beautiful part. 8 to 12 inches is exactly the distance between a baby's face and their parent's face during feeding. Evolution designed it so that the first thing your baby sees clearly is you. Their vision improves rapidly over the first few months, but in those early weeks, your face is literally their whole world. Now, let's talk about one of the most underrated baby superpowers, the grip reflex. If you put your finger in a newborn's palm, they'll grab it, and they'll grab it hard. How hard? Strong enough to support their own body weight. Seriously, a newborn could theoretically hang from a bar like a tiny gymnast. This is another evolutionary leftover. Primate babies needed to cling to their mothers. You'll notice this reflex is strongest in the first few weeks and fades by about 5 to 6 months. But while it lasts, it's a powerful reminder that your baby is tougher than they look. And finally, the fact that ties everything together. Babies are born with about 300 bones. Adults only have 206. Where do the extra bones go? They don't disappear. They fuse together as the baby grows. The soft spots on a baby's head? Those are gaps between skull bones that haven't fused yet, specifically so the brain has room to grow at that incredible rate we talked about. The fontanelle isn't a flaw, It's an engineering feature. Your baby's skeleton is literally designed to be flexible, so their body can handle the fastest period of growth in human life. From sleep and soothing, to feeding and growth, to the incredible way their brains and bodies develop. Babies are genuinely extraordinary. And here's the real tip nobody tells you. You don't need to know everything. You just need to keep showing up. Which fact surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this helpful, hit subscribe. We post new deep dives into baby facts every week. Thanks for watching.